Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Boomer Briefing Podcast, where we can help you solve a critical business issue in 20 minutes or less. I'm your host, Sandra Wiley, President at Boomer Consulting, and with me today is Monika Turek. Hi, Monika, and thank you so much for being on this episode of the podcast.
Thanks, Sandra. I'm really excited to be here.
I am so glad you're here too. I know that our audience is going to get a ton of value out of this particular topic. I have been asked about L&D so much this year. And so let's just start out by letting you tell us a little bit about yourself, what's your role in the firm. Tell us a little bit about your firm. Just give us a little introduction of you.
All right. Well, my journey to Hogan Taylor is a bit atypical. So if you'll indulge me, I want to tell you a little bit about that journey because I think it tells a lot about how I see my role at Hogan Taylor. So I knew from the time I was a junior in high school that I wanted to major in accounting. And I never strayed from that path for a moment during college. I never really intended to go into public accounting. When I was a senior in high school, I decided my path was to use accounting to get into the FBI.
I love it.
I went on to graduate from Oklahoma State University with a double major in accounting and economics and a master's in accounting with an emphasis in forensic accounting. I learned that the path to the FBI was a difficult one, so I decided to make myself more attractive by going to law school. At OU Law, something really interesting happened. I found my love for the law, and more specifically for tax law, which was unexpected, as I only really took the basic tax class in my program at OSU, but something just clicked for me, and it all came together. During law school, I worked with a small firm in Hennessy, Oklahoma, where I learned a little bit about the practice of law, and I had some great role models for the practice of life. Not long after passing the bar exam, I happened into a job as a professor at my alma mater, Oklahoma State University, where I taught tax and ethics and many other courses over 9 years. I became the Beta Alpha Psi advisor, developed some wonderful relationships with recruiters from all sorts of firms, public and private. And so when it was time to leave OSU, I knew that despite my initial plan all those years ago in high school, it was time to go to public accounting. After some soul searching, I applied at Hogan Taylor, got a call from Misty Brown inviting me for an interview. And it didn't take long before I was part of the tax team at Hogan Taylor, and I began to see a new path forward, maybe even to tax partner. But the twists and turns in my professional journey didn't stop there. My love for teaching kind of bubbled to the top when Shannon tapped me on the shoulder to come over to HR and head learning and development at our firm. I had some more soul searching to do. I could see a clear path to leadership in tax on the one side, and a road I would need to forge on the other, a road that didn't have a direct route, but I took it anyway. And here I am, doing what I loving what I'm doing. And the best part is I'm still with my HT family. As you know, HT is a top 100 mid-sized firm. We have a real strong focus on that business advisory mindset. And we are regional. We're, in 2 states. We've got remote employees all over the place. And we have a lot of different business lines, like many firms, wide range, everything from insurance and tax over to outsourced HR and IT, wealth, so much more. At Hogan Taylor, our mission is to elevate our communities, our clients, and our people through remarkable service. And in my role, I get to focus on elevating our people every day.
I absolutely love that. And I got to tell you, I almost wish now we could take this webinar in a completely different direction, because I hear people all the time talk about, I don't know what my path is. I don't know where I'm supposed to be going. And they're so concerned about it. And sometimes if you just follow your passion, sometimes that career will pop out of that, not even where you expected it to be, which is exactly what your story is. So what a fantastic story. And thank you for sharing that. Um, one of the things that I think I have seen this year is that learning and development have really bubbled to the top of the best firms out there. And I know that we honor HT as one of those firms. Have you found that that has been the case at Hogan Taylor in the last, I don't know, year, 2 years, something like that, where it's just become a bigger deal than it ever has been before?
Absolutely. Learning development is a key component of our strategic plan. I think we really understand the valuable role it plays in attracting and retaining top talent, and really just like that employee experience as a whole. Like I said, we seek to elevate our people, but we do that by investing in their development and inviting each individual to be the hero of their professional journey. In L&D, I really see my role as the trusted advisor to the hero. We provide opportunities and resources, but our HT heroes have to choose to go on the journey and decide what path they're going to take. One of our core values, as I'm sure you know, is dynamic. And to us, that means we're going to be better tomorrow than we are today. And we've really tried to shift the mindset from learning for compliance purposes to continuous improvement through the pursuit of goals and skill development. And that means our story doesn't just end with training sessions and lunch and learns. Those are just stops along the way. The truth is there's really no end to the learning journey. Albert Einstein said, once you stop learning, you stop dying. Oh man, I got that wrong. Once you stop learning, you start dying. There we go. True development really does come through those experiences and the application of the knowledge that we learn along that journey. And then it goes further as we start to pass that knowledge on to the next generation of heroes. And we really pursue that continuous improvement.
Boy, isn't that so important, right? I oftentimes laugh. We both probably heard this before, that our kids or kids that we know get out of school and out of college and they go, oh, thank goodness I'm done. And anybody who's been in the profession for even a year knows that that is not the case. We continue to learn. And the reality is every year something new happens that we have to learn more. So I love how your culture is holding that up and how you are carrying that forward throughout the firm. So thank you so much for that. So if you looked at where the firm was, like you said, 5 years ago and where you are today, what are the moments in history that you think helped to level up or escalate the focus on learning and development there at the firm?
Wow. A lot has happened in the last 5 years. So that would be back in 2018. I feel like we were in a completely different world, or at least it feels like that to me. I know at Hogan Taylor, we were primarily doing training in person. There was a lot of focus on technical training, and then there was some focus on professionalism using what we called learning ladders. And if you'll remember, Microsoft Teams wasn't even introduced to the world until 2017. So only right before that. And we didn't have it at Hogan Taylor 5 years ago. So with staffing constraints becoming more and more of a challenge, we were already starting to recognize the need to increase our efforts in learning and development as part of our overall strategy for retaining that top talent. We were doing what it took to ensure that employees met their job requirements through technical training, but we really saw the need to improve our efforts in areas like leadership training and success skill training. And then the pandemic hit. Bum, bum, bum. Luckily, I bring my own sound effects. Luckily, the IT team at Hogan Taylor was kind of ahead of the game, right? We had already converted to fully using Microsoft Teams for communication. We were really just getting used to the idea of having meetings on Teams when suddenly that was the only way you were having meetings. And I just, think our lucky stars that our IT leaders were proactive in planning for that. From a learning perspective, we were starting some really great leadership programs. And then we were suddenly back to square one and figuring out, how do you even provide basic needs for employees? Even more, like we were needing to find new ways to provide technical training, which is really an area we thought we were set on. But I think we learned some really valuable lessons. We learned you don't have to be in the same room to learn together. We learned that you can do on-demand training. We learned how to adapt to changes in technology to better provide virtual or hybrid training opportunities. And I think best of all, we learned how to give ourselves and others the space and grace we needed to be resilient. We forged forward with those leadership programs. We started a new manager program, the Next Gen Leadership Program. As we brought those areas up and our firm really started to grow and evolve, we were seeing the value of an organizational approach to L&D rather than just a departmental approach. And we were finding new ways to support employees in that professional journey and not just checking the box for CPE compliance. So I think I really believe that the pandemic acted as a catalyst in the growth of learning and development at Hogan Taylor, but I want to give credit where credit is due. And I think that's to our people and how resilient they were through a very difficult time. We were heading toward those great programs for leadership and professional development, but the pandemic really made us think about how we were doing things and why we were doing them. And it's that focus on making our people better and providing opportunities that meet them where they are and help elevate them to where they want to go that really came out of this pivotal part of our history. So through this, we embraced technology, but we became really deliberate about the personal connections we get in our learning journey. So now we act intentionally as we create learning opportunities. We choose a format that fits the people and the purpose we're trying to accomplish, kind of all within our framework of our L&D program, which we call HTU.
I love it. And, isn't it interesting, those pivotal moments? I think some people call them upskilling ourselves or, kind of fun words like that. But they are pivotal. And I think you and I have even talked about in the past that, did COVID hurt us or help us? Well, it all depends on how you look at the time that we were in. I think in many, many ways, it helped us. We escalated faster. But I also really love what you said about the fact that your technology department already was supporting you. They were already foundational in what you had there. And I think that's an important part of learning and development too, is that you have kind of people you collaborate and departments you collaborate with within the firm. Obviously, your technology department is one of those. I'm sure there's many others, but that would be one of them. So thank you for sharing all of that. That's wonderful. When you think about L&D, what's the most important L&D project that you're working on right now that you think is going to really help continue the evolution of learning and development there at HT?
Yeah, like many firms, we're working on learning paths. If we're going to encourage our people to be the hero of their journey, we need to give them accurate maps on how to get to where they want to go. We've kind of done this in a phased process. So in 2022, we rolled out Hogan Taylor University and our 5 core competency model. Our competencies are people development and teamwork, productivity, business development, technical knowledge and firm systems, and client experience. We also introduced 3 skills that tie directly with our core values of unity, service, and dynamic for each one of those 5 core competencies. And then even further, each of those skills is divided into 6 levels on a continuum that go from new hire to strategic partner. So this year, we rolled out a new learning experience platform called Thrive, where we can select the skills we're working on. identify where on that 6-level continuum we are currently for the skill, and what our goal is for skill development. And so we've asked our employees to identify 3 to 5 skills that they're most interested in on the platform. And by doing this, we're really able to get much more of a one-size-fits-one approach to learning. And it's important, I think, for our people to understand that you don't have to be an expert in everything. In fact, we know you should spend about 80% of your time on the 20% you're best at. And so Thrive really has provided us that technology piece, and that it has the ability to help identify where skill levels are being boosted for completion of content or learning paths. And that's really going to help us as we try to automate some of this skill development. So as we move forward into 2024, we plan to utilize this feature more as we continue to build out those learning paths related to the skills. But naturally, there's a long way for us to go, and getting our employees to fully understand the breadth and importance, really, of our learning program, as well as all of the benefits of Hogan Taylor University.
I love it. So just out of curiosity, is Thrive a tool that you bought to use, or is it something you developed internally?
Yes, it is a tool that we bought to use. It's a company out of the UK. And not a lot of accounting firms are currently using Thrive as their learning management system or learning experience platform. We are using it in combination with a license tracker. It is not intended for the accounting specific industry, so it doesn't have all of those details on state rules for each license, but it does have a built-in CPD program. So there is that, capacity to be able to tie in with your learning management system and really put everything in one place. And that's really the direction we're going, of trying to get all our stuff into one location so people aren't constantly going out to all of these different resources, and have like that one-stop shop for their learning needs.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. That's so interesting. And I know lots of firms are looking for the kind of the how-to, but also the processes and the technologies that are being used. So thank you for that. As firms out there that are listening to this podcast are saying to themselves, how do we strategize? How do we evolve our learning and development efforts? What are the 1 or 2 must-dos that you would share with them, or maybe coach with them or help them with? What do you think? What are they? What are the things they have to be doing?
Yeah, great question. I think I would start with having a solid foundation. It can be really easy to fall into that trap of reinventing the wheel every single year, or pulling together really cool learning experiences, but without really thinking about the program as a whole. Personally, I love inventing new things. And so I really need to check myself on that, make sure that I understand there is a clear goal to the learning program. And so I think a really good start to that is to create a set of clearly identifiable competencies and your system for identifying the growth in those skill levels. Once you have your foundation, you can start to fill in with content you currently have, and then start thinking about how you fill those holes in. So I think the next step would be just to take deliberate steps, because it can feel overwhelming. And I know it does for me. So just taking one piece at a time, always building on what you already have. So ideate, evaluate, and then only recreate as needed. And then it's important to understand technology is always changing, and so should our development opportunities. So we need to be adaptable, and we need to learn from our peers. So that kind of takes me to my last one, which is share freely. Once you have something figured out, don't hold it close like it's a trade secret. We're all in this together, and our goals are similar. And we all want our people to be better. I believe my role is to be a trusted advisor to my HT heroes, but I also see my role as being a trusted advisor to my community. And that includes my L&D community. So be open to sharing ideas and lessons learned. For many of us, we are the learning and development department. So it's really valuable to be able to have this resource with people that have a shared mission and be able to bounce ideas off of them. So I guess to answer your question, build a solid foundation, take deliberate steps, and share freely. And while you're being the hero of your journey, help other people be the hero of theirs.
Oh, what a great way to end this podcast. I couldn't have said it better myself, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you being on here today and sharing your wisdom with our audience. So thank you for your time and your attention. It was so great to talk with you today. And for our listeners, if you enjoyed the conversation, we release new episodes every Tuesday morning. We talked today about talent and learning and development, but we also cover topics like leadership, process, technology, and growth. What all the topics have in common is that they are crucial to the firm's success and helping you solve a critical business issue in 20 minutes or less. So if you'd like to hear more, please subscribe, and thank you for listening. Have a fantastic day.